car or whatever pulls up out here in front, you put a smile on your face. Well, we're at church. This is going to have to lay on the shelf until later. So you get out of the car, you paste a smile on your face, and you walk outside or you walk in here, and you shake hands with people, and you say, hi, boy, it's nice to see you this evening. And you got this fake smile on your face. You see, you have never dealt with the problem. All you did was conceal it. How many of you know that that spirit is good, it's subtle, it'll hide itself? Huh? How many of you know that anger sooner or later is going to come out? Somewhere, sometime, somehow, someplace. You can hide it all you want. You can let it lie down in there like a doormat, but sooner or later, it's going to come out. Huh? Let me share something with you, church. This will help you a little bit. There's different kinds of anger. There's what I call explosive anger. How many of you know what I mean when I say explosive anger? I mean it's right now. You never know when it's coming, or you never know what's going to happen when it's over. How many of you know you don't like to be around people like that because you don't know what's going to happen? Okay? Let's call that explosive temper. And yet they'll say, I don't know what happens to me. I just can't help it. Well, I'm going to give you a little story to prove to you that's wrong. You know, we've been deceived for a lot of years, church. I'm not talking about Christian people because I know Christian people can take the name of Jesus and the Spirit and the power of God that's within them and put that spirit down. But I'm talking about even if you're not a Christian tonight, you don't have to have that hot temper. Let me give you a little story here. There were these two young men. One had a very explosive temper. And he kept saying, well, I just can't help the way I am. I just can't help it. If you stir me up, if you rile me up, this is what you can expect. I get wild. So they got to drinking. And as in his apartment one night, this guy was sitting at a table. In a regular kitchen chair you sit out, sitting there guzzling his beer. And especially when he drank, he'd get even meaner. So he had his buddy in there, and he'd said something that made this guy angry. You know? So the guy behind him, he walked up to this guy that's supposed to have this explosive temper, sitting on a chair, and from behind, here come this switchblade around in front of him. And that guy laid that switchblade right along this dude's Adam's apple. Well, now let me tell you something. That guy didn't get angry. Later on, when it was all over with, he said, you know, I don't understand it. He said, normally, he said, I would have exploded. I'd have got mad. How many of you know it wasn't in his best interest at that time to get mad? Was there control there? Of course there was. So the next time you hear people say, I can't control my temper, that's a bunch of bull. You don't want to control it. You enjoy it. You get a certain amount of pleasure out of screaming and ranting and raving and showing people how tough you think you are. Huh? Next time you get riled up, think about somebody putting a switchblade to your throat. See how quick you can shut your mouth. Huh? Tell me you don't have any control over church. I know better than that. Go with me to Proverbs chapter 14. Chapter 14, verse 17. We've got another type of anger I'm going to speak with you about tonight. We'll not get over all these tonight. This is just going to back up the word I gave you. It says, he that is soon angry deals foolishly. He that is soon angry or gets angry quickly over anything and everything is going to do foolish things. How many of you ever got angry and did something foolish you was embarrassed about later on? How many of you know that spirit of anger wants to embarrass you? Huh? It wants it to come out in places that it shouldn't be coming out. Huh? Isn't that the truth? All right, I'll leave that alone for now. Now I want to show you a place in the Bible about another type of anger, which is what I call, and I believe most of the people that I know personally have this type of anger, which is what I call, it's a slow burning anger. It's a slow one. Okay, look with me in Luke, if you would, please. The Gospel of Luke, chapter 15. Let's look at verse 25. Now, we've all heard this many, many times about the prodigal son who left home, so we all know about that story, okay? You know, a lot of times we teach and we preach a lot about the prodigal son that left home, and sometimes we don't see the second half of it. We don't really study out or ask God to show us about that elder son that was there. There were two sons, church. One was the prodigal son who they say left home, and thank God he did come home. We thank God he did. We know that's a type of us when we know God and we backslide. And we wake up after laying around with the pigs long enough and we realize that, hey, our Father is welcoming us back into the home. That's what that's all talking about, and I'm not going to get into that tonight. I want you to see about the elder son who was a slow-burning type of anger, this young man. And a lot of times people have never seen this. Let's begin to read in verse 25. I'm in Luke 6 or 15, chapter 25, or verse 25. Luke 16 or 15, 25. I'll get it right in a minute. Seek and ye shall find, right? I got lost there somewhere. Okay, in verse 25 it says this. Now his elder son, we're picking up here where the younger son of the prodigal son has already been out, went to the hog pen, and came back, okay? Just to tell you where we're starting at. Now the elder son was in the field. And as he came and drew nigh to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants, and he asked what these things meant. He said unto him, Thy brother is come, and thy father has killed the fatted calf, because he has received him safe and sound. And he was angry. Catch that, church. That older son, he said he was angry. And he would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. And he answered and said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve you. Neither have I transgressed I at any time your commandments. And yet you never gave me a kid that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this thy son has come, which has divided all the living with harlots, and as you have killed him the fatted calf. Do you see the anger inside that young man? He wasn't even happy because his own brother had gotten back out of a life of sin and filth. He wasn't happy for him. He was angry. You see how over a period of years he had stewed and kept it on the inside of him, and it took this to bring it out? You know how I know that? Because he looked at his father and he said, Dad, after all these years, lo, these many years, Lord, Dad, I've been serving you. You never acknowledged me. You never did nothing special for me. You didn't let me have a party or get married or make glad. You see the resentment there? There's anger, there's resentment there. You see, church, I'll get back on this. I want you all to stay in this area right here because I will be getting back to this one off all evening for a little bit. Okay? How many of you know that there's a lot of times you can have anger and stuff in your heart that you've kind of buried so deep, and sometimes it'll flare up, but maybe just once in a while when something reminds you of it. Now, if you've got anything in your life, and at times that comes up again, here and there, you can rest assured you have never dealt with it. I'll give you, for example, my grandmother back years ago, and she didn't pass away till she was in her 80s. But we used to have our reunions all the time, and she had a sister, my grandmother and her sister. We'd go to reunions, and I always noticed that the two never spoke to one another. I mean, you know, all my life I noticed this. When I got older, I went to my grandmother, and I said, Grandma, why do you never speak to Aunt Toots? We just don't. I went to Aunt Toots, and I said, Aunt Toots, why do you never speak to my grandmother? We just don't. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to deal with it. They just didn't talk. Well, one day, me and my cousin, which was my Aunt Toots' daughter, me and Viola, got together and began to talk and became very close as cousins do. And I asked her one day, I said, Viola, I said, you know, they never speak. Been around them for all my life. We go to reunions. There's so much tension in the air, you can cut it with a knife.